I felt like my world ended.
I watched that story and did a little bit of digging, so you don't have to. I do want to give a trigger warning. We are going to be talking about child SA. That's Iris. She goes by the new trophy wife, and she just found out that her husband, who she's been married to for 5 years, has been essaying their 2 daughters who are 4 and 2 years old. Now, the new trophy wife, she's actually a YouTube creator who makes content about becoming a trophy wife and how to attain a high value man. She actually says that one of her biggest inspirations is Sprinkle Sprinkle Woman, and says that she taught her how to, present herself in a way that is pleasing to a man that has high value, that can provide for you and take care of you. And so I went on her YouTube page, and I first initially watched the video of her coming out and telling everybody what happened between her husband and her 2 youngest kids. I ended up going back on her YouTube and watching some of her older videos. She's been doing this for about a year now, and one of her first videos she shared was about how her and her husband met. I want to start in the beginning and then make our way all the way to the video that she just put out 5 days ago. When she's telling us about her story, she lets us know that she actually had her first child when she was 17 years old, and then she had her second one. She found herself in a situation where she was 24 years old, and she was a single mom with 2 children, and she was working a job that was getting her about $90K in salary. She had her own place. She was making it happen. She just called herself the modern woman. She subscribed to the idea of I don't need a man. I can do this all on my own. She said after spending one Christmas with her and her boys, she just felt like, I really want to raise them with someone. I want someone to be here. I want a family. So she decided that she was going to change her perspective of what a high value man was, which she had learned at that time was anybody that looked rich, right? Typical baller, artist, things like that, right? And so she was Sharon 7 helped her realize who a real value man actually was. And so she started going after those men. One of her homegirls suggested that she get on a dating app. And at that time, she was there's no way I'm going to do that. After a little bit of hesitation, she ended up joining eHarmony. That's where she met her now husband. Now, in her past, she had already dated other men that were older than her, about 10 years older, but she felt like that wasn't old enough. So when her husband was 20 years older than her, she was okay, this is more of my speed. So they started talking. Mind you, she's still dating other people. On their first date, she said it was great. It was instant connection. They felt like they knew each other already. It was just a lot of sparks flying. And he basically asked her to be his girlfriend. But she felt like he was only asking her to be his girlfriend because he wanted to get her in her pants. She was no, continued on dating other men. This other guy comes along and he ends up doing a bunch of things for her, taking care of her, and she ends up getting into a relationship with him. And then shortly after that, she realizes this man only wants to be with me. He doesn't actually care about my kids. He's not really embracing them. So she ended up calling it off with this guy. But at that point, she was already living with that other man. And so she packs up her things, moves out. It just so happens that the day she moves out of that ex-boyfriend's house, her now current husband ends up reaching out to her and being hey, how's it been? We haven't talked in a little bit. And she's I don't even know why we stopped talking. So they pick up right where they left off, and she's telling him her current situation. And she's well, do you think it's possible my lease is ending? I can basically stay with you. And the current husband says, well, if you're going to live with me, you're going to have to be my wife. And she's well, how spontaneous are you? And he's I'm very spontaneous. So they basically start entertaining the idea of getting married. He's in Colorado at the time, so to show him that she's serious, she goes and buys a $300 ring for him. Gets on FaceTime with him, and she shows it to him. And he's there's no way. She's yeah, I'm really serious about this. So she gets this sense that she should go check her eHarmony profile. When she gets on her eHarmony profile, she sees that he actually changed his profile picture. So she hit him up and was you're clearly not serious about me. You're playing, I'm done. And he's no, I'm not playing. That night he goes out and buys her ring. And so a week later, they end up getting married. She contacts her family. She's yeah, I'm getting married. I want you guys to be happy. It's just in a courthouse. They ended up having their reception at a restaurant. Very simple. They got married. She moved in with him. At this time, she had 2 boys from a previous relationship. Iris mentions that one of the things she really liked about her current husband was that he really hit it off with her boys. He embraced them. He really wanted to be a part of their lives, and she really loved that. She really wanted this idea of a family. So over the next few years, they're living together. They end up having 2 daughters. And then she starts this YouTube page where she's teaching women how to become a trophy wife. And so she comes out with a video 5 days ago. You can tell she's very sad. She's I haven't posted in a while. She actually just had her 5th child with this husband, right? Well, it'd be his 3rd child, but her 5th child altogether. And she was I've been, a little absent. I haven't been posting because I've been busy. She was I was in the middle of my pregnancy. My child has been born. She's I thought I was going to be posting, different type of content right now, baby's first looks and all these other things, but instead I'm here talking to you guys about this subject. And so she goes on to tell us that one day, and again, trigger warning, one day she was changing her 4-year-old's diaper, and basically she noticed that in her area, like down below, baby girl was very irritated and red. And immediately Iris's first thought was like, was somebody touching her? She looks at her daughter and she's like, did someone touch you? And her daughter goes on to say, yeah, it was daddy. At this point, her heart drops into her stomach. Her husband's not at home at this point. She comes up with a ploy, tells him that she's going to go Halloween shopping, gets the kids all out of the house. She said that she knew if she confronted him at that moment, he was going to react very unhinged. So she was like, I need to protect my baby. So she came up with that ploy and got them out of the house. She gets to the hospital, and the hospital can't conduct the test that she needs to do on her daughter. So she gets police escorted to a different hospital where they test the daughter there. That's where she finds out he was also touching her 2-year-old daughter. The story is very heartbreaking. Iris actually goes on to tell us that she is a byproduct of grief, and that because of that, she watches her children like a hawk. She doesn't like them being around adults too much. Like, she's very protective of them. Iris also shares that when she was younger, she was also touched by a neighbor's husband. Because of all the history that she has, she's very protective of her children. She's so confused, like, how this happened under her roof, and like how her husband was able to get, you know, away with all of it. And honestly, like, I'm not gonna lie, I went through a few different videos and I was watching some clips of some lives that she was doing, and I'm like uncomfortable even like talking about this, but you can hear in the background her daughter screaming, and she's screaming saying ouch, ouch, and then she starts crying, like she just starts crying. And Iris is on the live saying like, oh, ignore my daughter, she's in the back with my husband, acting cranky. She's wondering where the husband found the time to be able to do something like this, and I'm like, maybe he was doing it while you were making videos, because it's 2 different videos, you're in 2 different outfits, and your daughter's in the background screaming, I mean like screaming, saying ouch, and you're telling us she's with her dad. The way that the girl was screaming, I feel like it was enough to go and inquire and be like, hey, do you need my help with anything? Again, all of this is alleged. This is just what Iris is sharing on her YouTube page. A lot of people have stepped in and said, like, don't blame Sharon 7. Sharon 7 does not tell people to meet quickly, move in, expose your children to them. She doesn't say all of that. So I definitely agree that, like, everybody has the ability to interpret information and apply it to their lives as necessary, but to blame Sharon 7 and be like, it's her fault that this woman's in that position, it's like, nah, you all have free autonomy, you have free will. You have to be very careful where you get your advice from, and more importantly, how you apply it to your own life. Sharon herself even hopped on TikTok and was like, I don't claim her. I don't claim her as someone that learned from me, because I would never tell a woman to not do a background check, to make sure the man that you're getting involved with is safe for your children. She said that she even tells women not to mention that you have children in your dating profile. And people were commending her for believing her children the minute they said something, and then other people were like, that's the bare minimum. Like, you should, of course, believe your child when they say something like this. You know, you never want to take it lightly. You want to get down to the bottom of it, like figure every detail out to the fullest extent. There is no like, oh baby, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, nah, what'd you say? Like, let's sit down and talk about this. Like, point to it, tell me, whatever it takes to understand what it is your child is trying to communicate to you in that moment. I always tell you guys to be very, very careful who you guys get involved with, especially when you're dating off of dating sites. Background checks, of course. Like, if there's anything else that you can search. What happened to these girls is absolutely sad. I'm wishing Iris the best of luck, that, you know, she's able to get away from all of this, learn a huge lesson, and just really pick herself up and really protect her children and move on in life, because this is completely traumatizing. She does have a TikTok, she does have an Instagram. This story is on her YouTube. Show her love wherever you guys can. I appreciate you guys as always. You tagged me in this. I hope you have a great night. Bye.
I really do not like these type of stories on the internet. They just make me hate men that much more. Like, this is a terrible story. I hope she finds, first of all, get away from that man. I hope she finds some therapy. I hope her children get therapy. I hope he's put away in jail. And I hope that we stop having stories like this come out on the internet, because this is terrible and I don't like watching these. What do you guys think? Put in the comment section below.